What's up, everybody, and welcome back to a special edition of the festering pit of lunacy that is Neek the Podcast. I am the glorious Geek Samurai Kiku. Sitting next to me is our social media guru, Lindsay Darnell. And, of course, with us, as always, is the Demon Sour Cream, Josh Royshall Finney. And we've got a special guest today from the Nerd Cave Network, friend to me, friend to Josh. Yeah. And friend to all of you. Yeah. Friend to all of you, Robbie Rawls. Robbie, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just got back to the house, ready to talk some Daredevil.
All right. We are. This is going to be Spoilercast. Feel free to throw anything out there you want, any thoughts, any ideas. We're also going to do a quick review of it. Is it better than the first season? Some of the things, while Lindsay creepily stares at me on the computer screen.
The best way to stare at people. I have failed.
That's why I can't do TV.
I looked like at our screen, and you got this look like I could eat his fucking head right now, and everything would be okay.
Back for earlier.
Earlier, I played a prank on her, and it was amazingly awesome. But I'm not going to go into it here. So, Daredevil season 2, it premiered. We all have seen all of it from its first episode to its very last. Robbie, I'm going to give you first go, man. What were some of your initial impressions of the second season?
I could tell pretty much right off that they've pretty much kicked it into overdrive from season 1 because you had the memorable fight scene in the first season, and that held the spot in everybody's heart as their favorite Daredevil scene from the TV show. And this year, I felt like they just Kool-Aid Man bust through the wall. Oh, yeah! Here it is. And they had that super awesome fight scene with the Dogs of Hell.
That's actually a scene that Josh, who is a film major, videographer himself, we talked about at length over the phone, actually. The staircase scene is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
How could they top something like the hallway scene? And man, did they do it.
Yeah, they did.
Josh and myself were trying to figure out how did they get all those shots, especially because it was like they dropped a camera down a pole, like down the middle of the stairwell that actually turned and went behind him and all that stuff. One of the complaints I had about the first season was that while it was awesome, the drama was good, there were a lot of parts that dragged. And in the second season, you didn't have almost experience any drag. It was like, they didn't waste any time. They didn't, give you a rehash of the characters. They were like, nope, you know who Matt Murdock and Foggy are. We're going to start you off with that and just hit the gas pedal and go.
Oh, and that's the part that as someone who's seen and, pretty much consumed the first season, I enjoyed that they were like, all right, we already have these people established, because a lot of times they go into, shows and movies, and they have pretty much rehash everything about, okay, who's this person? So I enjoyed that aspect of it, that they were able to just keep their foot on the, I guess, proverbial gas pedal through the entire season. So.
Well, the other thing that I know was a complaint of mine and of actually everybody from Neek the Podcast about the first season, and it was a complaint about Jessica Jones as well, was that it hit the 10th episode and just the last 3, it blew up. That was like the definitive episode, and then the last 3 were kind of like just wrapping everything up nice and neatly. It was
kinda
really
like put it on cruise control.
Yeah, those last 3 episodes. In this season, though, that didn't happen. It went to the very end, and maybe the last 20 minutes of that 13th episode, they tied everything up, and then, of course, left some things open. Lindsay.
Yes.
Daredevil season 2. What are your impressions?
I love it. There's only one thing I hate about it. It's just a nitpicky thing.
What's the nitpicky thing?
Charlie Cox hitting people in the face is god awful. It is so bad. It's just missing it so bad.
I felt like it was such a bad camera angle to where it made it look even more fake.
There's two parts that I can really notice it. It's when he's beating up, I can't remember his name, the guy that kills his father. That was it was cringeworthy, the bad punches, and then there was another fight. It's when he's in the full Daredevil costume, and he kept punching someone in the face, a no-name
The
person.
Nobu fight was pretty noticeable.
Yeah, definitely.
At the very end, that was extremely noticeable.
And I think a lot of that has to do with it looked like Charlie Cox was doing a lot more of the fighting this season because they took out a lot of the acrobatic stuff from the first season. That was one of the things that bothered me about this season was that he was much more of a brawler than he was like quote-unquote ninja.
I mean, part of that is the fact he's not in the vigilante costume anymore, right? Where his eyes were covered. You could have any generic bulked-up white guy playing that role.
Sure.
As a stuntman. And, of course, we lauded the phenomenal stunt work earlier in the week on the main episode. Nick especially was talking about that. But I think they had to show more hand-to-hand combat this season because that's very much the tone this season. So Elektra is very much a hand-to-hand person.
Yeah.
They're fighting the hand. They're fighting ninjas the whole time. Him and Punisher get in like 3 or 4 brawls. He very much had to be more of a physical hero this time instead of dazzling you with all these moves. And I really think Season 3 / The Defenders are going to rectify that, a lot of the concerns we have there. Yeah.
So, Josh, impressions of Season 2?
I'm going to take kind of a different tone on this. One, I do think that it was better than Season 1 right off the bat. Yeah. I said that when it was going into the third act, really after we see the prison fight scene with Punisher and with Kingpin overwatching it, Vincent D'Onofrio in a surprise cameo. It was special guest star for like 2.5 episodes. None of us knew this was coming. Yeah. We had never discussed it. Like one set picture had leaked, and Marvel played it off as, oh, he was just visiting the set. That was so great. When he was walking across the prison yard, I was like, oh, they're going to free him. They're going to let him out of prison. Somebody in the police believes in what he's doing. And then when it shows Vincent D'Onofrio turn around, I squealed so loud. I'm very happy nobody was home when I was watching that at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I took a day off to watch. I had that day off for spring break. Nobody was home. I was freaking out at like 8 a.m. seeing that. But you have D'Onofrio show up, but that's one of the things that the season really lacks is a central villain. It can be divided up into 3 acts. The Punisher, Elektra, and the Hand really are the 3 phases that I view the season in, of varying degrees, 4 to 5 episodes each. And that's not a bad thing at all. It was such a breath of fresh air after Jessica Jones not copied, but very much followed the same formula, even though Melissa Rosenberg, I don't think, intended for that to happen. Yeah. Kilgrave, for one, I was actually terrified of him, unlike the Kingpin. I was like, oh, he's a cool villain. He's awesome. He's fleshed out. Kilgrave was actually scary. Yes, from the second that Punisher is implied when the Irish mob gets gunned down, I said it in my Twitter reaction the minute I started watching it. I was like, this is one of the best character introductions I've ever seen. Like, it's the Punisher. You already know it's him unless you're just not in the know. If you know Frank Castle, that is trademark Frank Castle. Of course, the fight that they get into at the end, he just bang. Of course, 2 and then 3 and 4, of course, we get that classic Garth Ennis scene of Daredevil in the chains, Punisher giving him the speech, you're just one bad day away from being me. These guys are not enemies. They have 2 completely different philosophies, though, and it's important to remember that. I really like Season 2 because it's much more about the journey of Matt Murdock, the man, rather than him becoming Daredevil. It's, can he continue with this life? Punisher and Elektra both force him to question that, and I loved L.D. Young as Elektra. I want to make that clear.
She killed it.
A lot of reviews were like, she was okay. I think she was outstanding. Frank Miller, piss off. You criticized her without even seeing this season. Frank Miller was criticizing her like 6 months ago when she was cast. That's not my Elektra. It's not going to be like I created her. No, this was awesome. This is everything I ever wanted in Daredevil and Elektra. I love Daredevil. This is what I
felt
wanted.
Like she was the surprise gem of this season, hands down for me.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that John Bernthal was going to knock it out of the park. Keith, and I talked about it.
His name is Frank Castle. He's no longer John Bernthal.
Yeah, pretty much. We had talked about how Shane from The Walking Dead essentially was an audition for this role, without him even knowing it 4 or 5 years ago. looking at this, though, I mean, I made the comparison on my Twitter. I said, we have an echelon of pop culture heroes. You know, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow. And Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
Yes.
Now Jon Bernthal is the Punisher. People were wanting Thomas Jane to play him, and I mean, I approach this with a little bit of skepticism. Like, I'm not going to sit here and praise him without seeing anything. Now, that early buzz we got out of Marvel, like back in December, about how he was amazing and they want to fast track a series, bring it on. I'm all for this.
Yeah.
Do a mini series, do another series. You don't even have to do 13 episodes. Give me 8 episodes. Give me a 3-hour Netflix movie. Give me something. I need more Jon Bernthal in my life.
So let's get into the Punisher. I mean, I don't think we have to go into how much Jon Bernthal rocked that part.
Emmy worthy.
Definitely Emmy worthy. But and I'm going to throw a little shade this way. I was a little upset that they never unleashed the Punisher by the end of the series.
I was not, and I'll tell you why. I very much look at how Daredevil was in the first season. We didn't really truly see Matt Murdock become Daredevil until towards the end.
Yeah.
He had a lot of acrobatics and fights and everything. He didn't really become Daredevil until the final act of the season. Much like that prison scene is what I'm going to keep coming back to. That was really when I think he truly became Punisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I mean is, and I'm not even talking about for like an extended amount of time, but you know that the last scene that you see, you know, he's wearing the Punisher garb, he's sniping people for Daredevil. Like, I wanted to see him kick open a door with that minigun, just mow a whole room full of ninja down, and then just be like deuces.
I think everybody did, and here's why this is not a negative for me. If it was a Punisher-driven series, or even if it was the Defenders, I could have understood that. This was very much Daredevil's fight.
Sure.
This was Matt Murdock's fight. Him and Elektra didn't need that. I mean, you had that touching scene between Murdock and Elektra before they jumped down onto the roof of, you know, if we survive this, I'm going to run away with you. We'll go wherever you want to go. You know, and it's that tear. It was that tear-inducing moment because you know that she's not making it out at that point.
Yeah.
Nope.
And you know they're going to do.
She's now a seed in a flower pot.
Well, you know that they're going to do the resurrection storyline, obviously, now. And it's just, that's why I wasn't disappointed. Punisher did exactly what he needed to do. I was expecting him to show up before then. I was expecting them to team up with him at the building and him have the minigun, but
that's what I was hoping for. Like
the sniper didn't disappoint me, though, because, like, and I've seen other criticisms like, oh, Daredevil didn't object to that. Matt Murdock surrendered to his carnal side. No, he had an acknowledgement that the only way he was making it out of there was if the Punisher helped him.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like. That was when Daredevil accepted, okay, this is the Punisher. This is how he does things, and obviously him saving his butt helped out a whole lot. But like, I felt like that was the accepting point of the TV show.
Well, I mean, I also kind of feel that I know they were trying to show that Daredevil walked the higher road, right, by not killing people.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of times throughout the show that I felt like his naivete about killing people was going to get other people killed. You know, one perfect example is when they find the hole in the warehouse, right? Him and Elektra, and they fight the Hand, and she's going to go stab somebody, and he goes, "No, Elektra," and she hesitates, and some guy like slices and dices her. And luckily, Stick comes along to, you know, finish the job and whatnot. There were a lot of times during the season where I was just kind of like, maybe he should start killing people. Like, I mean, I know you're trying to show that he's walking this higher road, but it's the whole season. A lot of the parts of the season made me feel like Daredevil was wrong, like in his philosophy. Like, he should be more like Elektra and the Punisher.
And it even showed with that little arms dealer, the black dude that sold guns out of the back of his car. Mm-hmm. He was like, "You gonna send me back to prison?" He's like, "You know, I'll be back on the street within a month." That was when I would have been like, "No, you're not," and like broke his neck.
And I mean, okay, Josh.
No, I was just because there are a couple things I got to take off soon, a lot sooner than we thought. Regarding to that, I really think this season, like I said, it was more about Matt Murdock, the man, instead of Daredevil, which is why I really enjoyed it. It showed why Daredevil truly is one of the best heroes in the Marvel Universe. He's a lot like, God, I was going to make a comparison here, and I can't remember. He's a lot like Doctor Strange in a way. He goes on a journey. He constantly walks that line of he could do some horrendous things. He really could, but he chooses to be one of the more pure heroes. He really goes on an arc. We see him flirting, with wanting to be like the Punisher. He admits it. It comes out when he fights Nobu at the end. He throws him off the roof because he's so furious at Elektra's death. But Scott Glenn, fantastic as Stick. They actually gave him something to do this season, which was really nice. That brought the whole story full circle for me.
Yeah, that just stay down part was pretty epic.
That, and also when he's whispering from the floor above Matt, when Matt comes to save him, he's whispering instructions to him. I was like, oh my god, this is when we're seeing who Daredevil can be. The nunchucks, I gotta get that in there. When he pulls them out, and I was like, oh yes, that was awesome. It's the Billy Club, and he separates it, but when he throws it and he swings off the building with it, I lost it. 2 o'clock in the morning, I was finishing it. I lost it, started screaming at the top of my lungs.
Zach
that
and myself.
Was amazing.
Zach and myself did the same thing, because whenever he was in that, I think the guy's name's Melvin, the one that created his suit and everything.
Yep.
He's like, oh. He's like, I got something for you, and I was like, Zach. I was like, this is it. This is it. That's what I've been waiting for. And he opens up, and it's the Billy Club. I was like,
That I really enjoyed the universe building. There were a lot of nods to Jessica Jones in this.
Definitely.
The DA was in Jessica Jones in a very small role, but she was in it. They mention the detective who was killed by who will be the guy who will become Nuke, Simpson. He was mentioned in this. Of course, you see the newspapers that are references to what's happened with the Avengers.
Carrie-Anne Moss did a guest appearance.
Carrie-Anne Moss. I actually did not catch that the first time because I was so tired.
Yeah.
I had to go back and rewatch that when someone was like, dude, did you see Hogarth? Like, what? I went back and I was like, okay, now I know how the Defenders are coming together. Her and Foggy are going to assemble the Defenders, and I squealed when I saw that. I had so many fanboy moments watching this. But the most important thing I think of the character building and the world building is you didn't feel like the show was taking a back seat whenever it went to the side characters. Like, you wanted to learn more about Foggy. You wanted to learn more. Even the police sergeant. Like, it was even fun seeing him on screen. Yeah. Like, he's reacting like any of us would, I think, in that world. Like, he's afraid of what's happening. He's afraid of the Punisher. He gets the shit beat out of him. Like, it was a very moving thing that all these side characters had these great stories, and there was no central antagonist. I guess you could say Nobu and the Hand really were, but they weren't even there until the second half.
I'm honestly going to say that the MVPs of the series, the ones that really carried it through, were Eldon Henson, Foggy, and then Rosario Dawson as Claire Temple.
Yeah, Claire Temple was very good.
That's my girl.
Yeah.
My girl.
Now we know how she'll tie into Luke Cage. She no longer has her job. She's going to go back home to Brooklyn, where the Luke Cage series is taking place. At Brooklyn or Harlem, I don't remember which one. It's just, it was so cool to see.
Harlem.
I think it's Harlem. It was so cool to see all of this. I gotta go. So my only negative really for this season, and this is something a lot of people do not agree with me on, Deborah Ann Wool as Karen Page. She is not a bad actress. That role is written very poorly.
Yes, it is. Oh my god,
she's a damsel in distress.
100% agree with you.
It got very annoying. The only part of her character suddenly she's an investigative journalist, really. The only thing I enjoyed about her character that I felt like was the Karen Page that I know from the comics was when she was forming that friendship with Frank Castle. She was the only one who understood him. That felt like some genuine, heartfelt character building. Other than that, though, every time she was on screen, like by herself, or she was just with like one other person, I was putting it on mute. I wanted to put it on mute. I muted it one time. And that was like in episode 13. Her monologue at the end almost ruined the final episode for me.
She's that character is the most annoying character, I think, in the universe right now.
Outside of Kat Dennings, yes.
Yeah. I think it's really because how the character's written. I don't like people like that in general, like people who just put their nose in other people's business.
The thing is, Karen Page is such a good character in the Daredevil stories.
Yeah.
She is.
That's why it's hurting me. That's why, I saw some criticism being like, well, he likes Karen Page. They started dating, and then he's telling Elektra he'll run away with her. I was like, I find the Elektra storyline to be so much more believable right now. Like, it really is. You felt like those two had a connection. The chemistry between three leads.
Let's hear from a lady about Karen Page. Lady of the group, Karen Page.
Lady of the group, take it. I will catch you guys later.
All right, Josh.
Bye, bud.
My feelings on Karen Page is that she was a necessary character because the whole running away with the Elektra was Daredevil. Is he going to choose this life to be like Punisher and Elektra, or is he going to choose the normalcy life with Karen? And that's why her character was necessary, and maybe why they wrote her so boring. So you would kind of hope that Daredevil would sway towards that side.
Well, she's not like really boring. She's annoying.
Yeah.
She's like that person that just won't let it go. You're just like, dude, let it go. Like, yes, obviously it worked out in the end for her, but at the same time, it was kind of like, you can stop now. Anytime you want, just stop. God, shut up.
I did get mad when she was yelling at him on the courthouse steps when he was like trying to explain herself, and she was just like, no, shut the fuck up. And I was just like, let the man talk, bitch.
Like, I liked I love the actress who plays her. She, like Josh said, she is a great character from the comic, but I do agree with the way that she was written, that they could have they still could have had her investigate, but not as fully as she did, because I feel like she did go overboard quite a few times in season 1 and in season 2. Yes,
she is the type of person that's going to get somebody killed.
Exactly, and I felt like the transition from whenever Nelson and Murdoch broke up, and then they were like, "All right, here's your job at a world-renowned newspaper." I was like, do you even know if she can write? Is she creative enough? And that's what kind of threw me and Zach, was that she was just automatically thrust into the newspaper and kind of taken the Ben approach to everything.
Yeah. Okay, so last thing before we get our 2 more things, but I had one more issue with this season, which was the Frank Castle storyline wrap up, with it being his commanding officer, which I felt was highly cliched. And even if it is from the comics, I was like, I kind of wish they would have done something different with it, because it was just kind of like, oh, you knew the guy that killed your wife all along, ha 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 ha.
Yeah. Like, knowing that, all the stuff that's happened in the comics, like, it still even kind of took me by surprise. Like, I was wondering if they would, explore a new avenue of who the blacksmith is. And I was like, and it kind of reverted back to him. And I was like, I felt like it was cliched to a bit, but I mean, it was still to the point where I was like, okay, at least they're sticking to their guns with everything. So,
I mean, the Colonel was played by Clancy Brown, who will forever be one of my favorite actors, because he was the Kurgan in Highlander. And he's Grodd. He's General Grodd on the Flash, and he's the general on the Flash as well. But Lindsay, what do you think about the wrap up?
I liked it. It was
face.
It what?
I don't know. You just gave me the weirdest face in the world. So
I was like, that was a more indifferent face. Like,
it's like you like scratch your neck and you're like, you got any more of them Daredevils?
No, fair enough. Okay, so wrap it up. 2nd season, Robbie. Loved it, hated it, want more. Why don't they just make 300 Daredevil episodes and just put them all out at once? Tell me.
I loved it. Like, I'm also scratching, wanting more. It was just, except for a few parts here and there, it was well done. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It took me on a wild journey through the Daredevil universe, because I've always loved, Daredevil. I've always loved the Punisher and the Elektra stories. So being able to finally, see a good a well-written Daredevil show has touched me right here in my heart. It's like, I'm very excited. I want more. I wish they would do 300 episodes and put them all out.
All right. So excited for Luke Cage in September.
Yes, I am. I also enjoy that character. I want to see what, like, their backstory that they're going to use with him about, being in prison and the, experimentations and all that stuff. So I'm excited for it.
Lindsay, Daredevil.
I love it. I want all the episodes now. Like,
okay.
I want them in my face now.
with like a male stripper in your face, like just thrusting at you.
Just all up in it.
Okay.
Like I want to lose my job for it.
I know you're excited for Luke Cage.
I actually am not that familiar with the character. It is one of the ones I'm not familiar with, but I am excited because of the lead up.
Time out in the review. You're telling me we went to 2 comic book shops today to go book shopping, and you didn't go, "Hey, Kiku, I know you know all about this Luke Cage, motherfucker. Why don't you want me to some bucks?"
I mean, I could add
friendship over.
I could add that next week. I mean, we only
it happens.
Today.
We only spent $300 on books. That's
Right.
And then $300 on food.
Mm.
We got tortellini.
Good ratio.
So for me, I enjoyed season 2 much more. I'm going to be honest. Daredevil himself was one of the least interesting characters to me throughout the whole season. Much more interested in John Bernthal's Punisher, Elodie Young's Elektra, because I think there's so much more behind that. I guess when it comes to the core 3, like, he was the least interesting to me out of all of them. Doesn't mean I didn't like him. I did enjoy him. Still enjoyed it. I wish, yes, there were all the episodes out all now. I am over the moon waiting for Luke Cage, because Luke Cage and Iron Fist, Heroes for Hire, is like my top 3 team ups of all time. It's just, I love it. I love it to death. Give it to me. Give it to me now.
Exactly.
So, Robbie, why don't you tell the folks at home where they can find you, Zach, and Derek?
Well, guys, we are the Nerd Cave Network. You can find us on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, at Nerd Cave Network. We have an awesome group, Nerd Cave, Facebook.com/group/Nerd Cave Network. We're podcasters and YouTube, so hit us up, guys.
And I actually just did earlier today a video with Zach that is out right now.
Yes, it is.
Top 5 Batman, top 5 Superman comics to read to get you prepared for Batman vs. Superman. So check that out on Nerd Cave Network. From me and our social media guru, Lindsay Darnell. You guys know where to find us because you're listening to us right now, unless you stumbled in accidentally. But anyway, guys, have a good week. Watch Daredevil Season 2. Even stay for the extra Luke Cage clip at the end. It's 30 seconds long. It's still cool as hell. And as always, keep it nerdy.